Hello everyone, it's Andrea and welcome back to my channel. I'm going to be making a project today that is the kickoff for our creative design team's week-long collaboration here on YouTube, where we are focusing on our 6x8 sketchbook. I'm going to use this in the traditional sense in that I'm going to create a couple of pages for my Days of December album. Now I know we're not quite at December, but I have a plan going and I wanted to start and share with you. So first and foremost, this is our 6x8 volume 2 sketchbook. We also have a volume 1. We've got an 8.5 by 11, but the volume 2, we didn't put Days of December or anything on the front this particular time because we wanted it to be more multi-purpose. Of course, you can use it for Days of December, but we want you to think outside the box and realize that you can use these sketches for anything. But again, I'm going to work on my Days of December with a sketch out of here. So I'm just going to flip this over and show you the sketches that I'm going to work on. And there are two sketches here that I thought would be perfect for when I document my snow village this particular December. It's something that I wanted to put into my album. Last year I did my little bird collection. This year I want to do my snow village. And I thought that this gave me lots of opportunity here to put lots of photos into a 2-page spread. So that's the layout that I'm going to be focusing on. And when you purchase the book over on cdtcreatives.com, you'll have access to all of the measurements that I've kind of put the little sticky note over here. I'm also going to be focusing my album this year on just 2 paper packs, I do believe at this point. And the first is our Evergreen Paper pack. So I've got this sticker sheet here and all of these lovely papers. So there are 6 sheets total, and we have this beautiful pine print. We've got this nice craft print with some greens and different colors there. A really pretty mink paper. Music notes. Now this just reminds me of like a Scandinavian Christmas, and it's all evergreens and pine cones. Very pretty, kind of snowflakey. And again, the same evergreen kinds of patterns here and just timeless. I love the way that they look. And I do want to also bring in our mix and paper pack that is meant to coordinate. So let me just show you those. These are 6 unique pieces of paper, whereas in the other collection you get 2 of each. So these are all the first sides of the papers, or the fronts with the zip strips. And I do like it because it brings in a little bit of color here. And then on the back, you've just got some different patterns and textures. And I just thought these would be great elements to work with to make our Days of December album. So I'm going to start cutting out some of the paper, and I'm going to come back and we will put these 2 layouts together. So I have my little sketchbook. I'm just going to set that over to the side out of the way, but I'm going to refer to that as we go through. I have 2 pieces of 6x8 White Daisy cardstock, and I like using the White Daisy as my base because it's just a good clean palette to use, and I can build upon these. These are really simple to put together. So instead of putting adhesive down on the back of each of these pieces, I'm just going to take my great big tape runner and I'm just going to run some pieces down, some big long stretches of adhesive. And I'm looking at the pattern as I'm doing that because I know that I have some really big pieces. I'm just going to start in this upper left hand or right hand corner of the left page. And I'm just going to adhere our first piece down. And the sketchbook gave me all of the dimensions, so it was really easy to do. Just cut those out. Now that first big piece that you see is cut from our Evergreen cardstock pack. And then I have some little photo mats here that I've trimmed down. And I just put a little piece here because I like to pop those off when I'm done. So I just have a 1/8 of an inch border all around this photo up here. And then I'm just going to follow the guide some more. We have just a solid photo mat right here. And turn this because I think I might have gone too far over on the other. Let's see if it fits a little better this way. And indeed it does. And again, the photo mats, we just put a little tiny piece of adhesive on. And these photos are so tiny that I decided that I would only leave a 1/16 of an inch mat around the edges. Now we're moving into, and I need to tape that, we're moving into a piece of mix in here. And then I've got a piece of sage. I should say this is pine that I'm using. I'm just using pine and sage, and I'm using the dark and the light sides of both. I'll just put the other photo mat. And that, like I said, is 1/16 of an inch on these little tiny photo mats. And then I just have this pretty green, sage green patterned paper that also came from the mix in. So we'll just put that down. So I've got our left hand base all ready to go. And we will do the same over here on the right. And I think with this one, we'll just run lines of tape again, right down the middle. And hopefully that'll do it. So we're going to start with the top up here. So we've got a piece of mix-in for the top. And then we have a photo mat, which will adhere down. And then we have another piece of mix-in right here. Just going to put that up at the top. And yeah, that didn't quite work where I wanted it to. Let me just turn this. There we go. That seems to be a better fit. Sometimes the squares are just a hair off. If that happens, you can always ink the edges. I think that would work. And again, we have a 1/16 of an inch border all around there. Now we have a big photo mat, which comes down next, like so. Photo placeholder. Since this is a bigger one, we gave it 1/8 of an inch border all the way around. And then we've just got 3 little pieces down here. And oops, you know what I did? This photo op goes in the middle. So I'm using the patterned cardstock for my design elements on the page. And then the solid colors like the pine and the sage are what we're going to put down for our photo mats. Just adding a little more adhesive here. I think a little more would help us out. So put this one down. Another piece of mix-in. I like that running across. And then one more photo mat. So you can just see how quickly these layouts come together. I also just went around the edges of my photo placeholders with our metallic paint marker. It's just the really thin 0.7 millimeter one. And I just like that that gives me just some detail, some artistic detail while I'm waiting to put these photos in. And it just gives a little more interest. If not, we would have had a lot of white space here. So it's just a little design trick that I use often. So we have these 2 bases, and the next thing that I want to do is embellish these layouts. So I'm going to bring in our new stamp set. It's called Snow Cute. I have the stamps and the thin cuts right here. And we are going to go ahead and use your Snow Cute as a title up here. And then I'm going to go ahead and die cut some of these snowflakes. I'm going to emboss them, die cut them. And I think that those would make really good elements in place of the stars that are on the pages. Since this is about our snow village, I figured it was apropos to use snowflakes instead of stars. So whenever you see one of these design elements in our book, remember, you could substitute a snowflake, you could substitute a flower. If you're doing a birthday layout, you could do a balloon. You could do whatever your heart desires. So since we have this beautiful snow set here to use, I'm going to use it, and we'll just get this page all decorated up. So I've cleared off my desk of our base pages, and I brought in some white daisy ink because I cannot find my Versamat. I have some Princess Gold embossing powder from Ranger. This is something from my stash. We used to carry it with close to my heart. You probably have something similar in your stash. I have the stamp set, and I have just mounted the Your Snow Cute sentiment right onto my block. I've done this diagonally to my little 2x2 block because I didn't want to have the overhang that I would on a long block. And I just have a piece of cardstock. I think even with the snowflakes, I'm going to go through this process first, and then I will go ahead and do the die cutting of the snowflakes. So I'm just going to ink this up, and I've never really used white, but I needed a sticky ink to pick up and adhere the embossing powder too. So I'm just pushing this down. Got my Versamat, like I said, under here. And let's see how this turns out. Fingers crossed that this is going to work. So I've just got my embossing powder. And let's see if I hold this over a little container here. See if we can't get this embossing powder to stick to the white daisy ink. Oh, and I did forget to say that I used my anti-static pouch first. The anti-static pouch I did run across my paper first, and that helps so that we don't get random pieces of embossing powder that stick, you know, all over the cardstock. Let me just see. Tap that off. And then I'll just bring in my heat gun. Just made a mess over here on the side, so let me clean that up quick. So now that we have this, we have the embossing powder on the white daisy cardstock. I'm going to bring in my heat gun. I'm just going to go over this until the embossing powder melts, and then we will mount this. I'm also going to go ahead and stamp and emboss several of the snowflakes. I'm going to die cut separate second because I just think it's going to be easier for me to get the snowflakes stamped and then center the die on top instead of the other way around. I know everybody has their own way of doing it, but that's the way that I plan on doing it this particular time. I'm back and I have stamped all of our snowflakes with white daisy ink. I've used that Princess Gold embossing powder, and I have gone over these with my heat gun. And now I have pulled out my close to my heart die cutting machine, and I'm going to go ahead and use our thin cuts that came with my set to die cut. My mats do warp, just like everybody's do, but I tend to try to put the items that I need to cut when I see that these warp on the part that's raised. And so I always start with my cutting mat. I know I do this a little bit differently. And then I have my snowflakes that I'm going to lay right into the part that's arced up the most. And then I'm just going to put my thin cut with the cutting part down against the paper. And it's really a good practice to just put a little bit of washi tape or something to hold this in place. And usually I have just a few pieces stored here on the top of my machine. I don't have that today. So I'm just going to pull in a little bit of painter's tape that I've got here. I'm just going to make that a little less sticky. And I'm going to go ahead and just line up my thin cut. Hold everything into place with just a tiny bit of this masking tape here. And going to give this a go. Now you could do several at once if you wanted to, and maybe we could do that. Let's put a second one on here with another piece of tape. Now that I have those two thin cuts, I just top with my mat and with my platform. And so I feel like when I do this, we're getting the most pressure now. So that bump that's up where our thin cuts are is going to get pushed down. And so that's what I do. I just alternate my mats that way just a bit. And it seems to help keep them a little bit more flat so they don't warp quite so much. So let's see. We've got two of our snowflakes all cut out here. I'm going to just gently peel this back for you to see. And aren't they gorgeous? Just beautiful, beautiful golden snowflakes. I'm going to go ahead with the rest of these thin cuts and die cut out all of our snowflakes. And then we are going to be assembling the last details of our two 6x8 pages. I brought our base pages back in, the bounty of snowflakes that we have right here. And I must say, I noticed that there was no teensy tiny little snowflake to cut out these guys. So I just used my scissors and went in and out. I knew I couldn't make a perfect circle. Maybe we have a thin cut somewhere, or you have it in your stash or a punch. I just used my scissors, my micro tip nonstick scissors, and went around. I also have our little title here and a piece of sage cardstock. So I just want to ink the edges of that before we put it together. So I'm just going to go ahead and find my chisel tip gold marker. It's the 4mm one. And this one, I can just run around the edges. This is a Katie Taylor tip. And it just helps this element to pop a little bit more. There we go. So I'm going to move our thin cuts out of our way and pull this down just a bit. And let's just start adhering things, shall we? So first of all, the title. I'm just going to do a flat title like so. And then I think I'm going to pop this up with some foam tape. I think that'll look nice. And that's going to go right on the top up here, like so. These dots are great because it helps you to line everything up. And then I have some journaling that I've done that is included on our pattern right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and give these a little adhesive. I always cut my journaling strips to be 3/8 of an inch wide because that's just what seems to work best with my handwriting. So I've just got these little strips will go in place here. And I think it's fun to kind of make them offset a bit back and forth. And we'll put that one there. So now we have some journaling. And I really just journaled about the Snow Village. And so that I know when I take the photos when the Snow Village is up will work. And then we're just going to use some foam tape to pop these into place. And I think I really want the big snowflake to take center stage. So I think that one's going to go right down there. So that's nice because we have 3 right there. And then we'll do some clustering up here as well. I like how that looks. I think we might just take these little snowflakes. And I also like to just sometimes give some definition to the edges of what I'm doing. So I'm going to see if I have any little tiny foam dots here. And in fact, I do. So I'm just going to pop them onto little tiny round foam dots. Like that. And then the other thing that I thought that we could do is, I know we're supposed to put a little bit of a banner piece across here. We could do that with some zip strips. But I also wanted to just see how it would look if I brought in some of our gold sequin ribbon. Now this has been a product that's been around for a while, but it's only like $2.60 right now over on our websites. So I grabbed a bunch of it. This was something that I used with our Grateful Heart projects when I taught an extravaganza some years ago, and I just loved it. But you can just make some like little loopy things. I also like that you can mimic like little snow swirls. So we might just go ahead and add a few of those down our page. And I think that would just take this page to the next level. So I'm thinking something like this that would just travel down the page. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab some glue and make some little swirls here. And I will come back and show you when the page is all complete with this glitter gold sequin ribbon down it. So here we are back with the original sketch, and I just want to show you how we've modified it. I have finished our 2 pages here for my Days of December album. And you can see once again that I've used the snowflakes in place of the stars, and sometimes I even put 2 snowflakes in some of the little spots instead of just 1 element. And then I just embellished with some of our gold sequin ribbon. Like I said, I think this is like $2.60 right now over on my website. So this is a steal. So you might want to buy several rolls of this. It just works so well for like, you know, these kinds of applications. And then I decided I didn't really want to make it so wavy over on this page. It was a little busier. So I just went ahead and I put it straight across the top and the bottom of this bigger photo mat that I have here. I've also just pulled off a few of the sequins off of our string, and I have, in this case, I've actually done a snowflake on top of a snowflake because I had that extra one left that I had thought to put up here, but I just went ahead and used some foam tape and pop that up a bit, put one of those sequins on top right here and right here. I just think it gives it like a little added bling. I just love how this has turned out. I've used a couple of zip strips. I think one might be from Evergreen and one from the Mix-In. And then back to this page, we have just gone ahead and added 3 of the little sequins on the bigger snowflakes as well. Things look great in 3s, and I just love that it adds just a little bit. It's pretty much the same color as the gold embossing, but it just picks up just a little bit of the light, and I love how that looks. I can't wait now to get this holiday village up, my snow village up, and to be able to photograph it. And I will probably use these 2 pages as a filler. I don't know what day of December it's going to go in, but maybe on a day where we're decorating or something, I will go ahead and put a number on here and get these into my album. Number might fit really well right here. So I hope that you've enjoyed this quick little project, and I just love how quick and easy these sketches are and how you can go from having this plain little sketch to having something that's like lots of fun and very artsy. Just love all that reflection. So thanks for watching. I hope that you continue on the rest of the week and see what the girls have in store for you with their versions of our 6x8 album. Remember once again that you can find the link to that down below in this video's description. And I should also mention that right now, if you're in the mood for Christmas, we have opened back up our 31 Days of Christmas Cards event. So you can also hit that CDT Creatives website and sign up for that as well if you are in the mood to make some more Christmas cards. I know some of the girls are going to use our book here to maybe make a bigger layout. Some might go off the Christmas topic. We'll see what happens. So thanks for joining me as I kick off the series. And I hope that you check out everybody's projects as they come out throughout the week. I will have the playlist linked down below in this video's description. Thanks for watching.